A freshman girl named Jackie loves to go swimming at the aquatic center once a week. As time goes on, she starts to become good friends with the lifeguard. The lifeguard eventually invites her to a frat party this Friday night. At 12 o'clock, the boy invites her up to the bedroom. Jackie, not knowing what to do, says yes and goes with him. The next thing that she remembers is being attacked and tackled to the floor. The only voice that she could hear in the background was the boy as he was coaching 7 other boys to rape her. Jackie, the next morning, didn't know what to do, so she didn't report it. Jackie eventually dropped out. According to the Rolling Stones report from April 5, 2015, this is a true story. Sexual victimization is a recognized and common occurrence on college campuses across the U.S. today. According to John Kahn from Washington Post on January 16th, 1 in 5 women is raped in their college experience. Many people feel like these things are reported, but that reality is not true. According to Reporting Sexual Victimization to the Police and others from a national level study of college women states that 25% of rape cases are actually reported to officials. Due to inconsistencies in reporting and college judiciary boards that are unprepared to handle these situations, is considered a federal offense. Rape cases on college campuses need to be reported to criminal courts instead. It is imperative that the problems, causes, and solutions that we're going to talk about today are exposed and addressed appropriately. So just like Jackie didn't report the issue, that is the #1 problem on campuses today, that issues are not reported. So why? Why are they not reported? First, they are scared. They're scared of what could happen to them. They're afraid of what could happen to the predator, as well as if that predator was their friend, they're afraid of what could happen if that was their friend, what could potentially happen to them. Second, they're afraid of being attacked again. They are afraid of being attacked just if they see them again on campus somewhere, or as if they do report it and then they're contacted about, potential rape, they're afraid that the person is going to come back after them. Another reason people are scared to report is due to the fact of drugs and alcohol. If they're underage and they're under the influence of drugs and alcohol, when the actual rape happened, then they're afraid that if they report it, that they're going to get in trouble because they're underage and that's against the law. Another thing is people are just embarrassed. They don't want people to know that they went to a party or that they were attacked or they had sexual intercourse. Just those few things they're just embarrassed to report to other people. And the last and final reason is simply they just don't know how to report. They don't know what to say, what's important, what's not important, or they don't know who to report to. They don't know, who to trust, that kind of thing. But, so moving on, problem 2 is, when they do report it, colleges are not properly investigating the situations. And why is this? And that is according to Title IX. And what is Title IX? Title IX is a law that prohibits sex discrimination education. So when Title IX kicks in, the university holds a case. But these cases, according to federal courts, are not being reviewed as properly as they should. And why is this? And first and foremost, it's because there's weak policies in places. When you look at federal courts, there are, policies and procedures that when you do report it, that they're first, from the second you report it down through the rest, they are, cured and helped accordingly. Whereas at colleges, when you report it, you don't know who you're reporting to. So if, say, you report to your RA in the resident hall, when they report it to somebody, they might not report it to the right person because they don't have a policy in place. And if they don't report it to the right person, it's not going to go down the correct line, which eventually could lead to uncourtly justice. Another reason that the federal courts are better than college courts is because of they're not well conducted. Whereas at a federal court, you're going to be in the court system with a lawyer next to you, with the predator possibly not in the room or across the room. Whereas in a college type setting, you're going to have the predator sitting directly next to you in front of the board. So when you're telling the story, it's not going to come out properly due to the fact that maybe you're afraid to say or something, so you don't tell the right story, and then the ruling is off the wrong story and not the right story. And another reason is just timeline of how long it takes to actually judge the incident. Whereas, say, 10 people on homecoming weekend file for rape, and they get, when you're not going to be the top priority because they're going to start looking at the other ones before they possibly could get to you, and when that happens, then they're not going to judge it correctly, or it could be a long time before they do judge it. Whereas federal courts, when you do judge it, it's going to be judged directly as opposed to, down the line. And just when you're looking at federal courts, they're the best way, to report things. But remember, if you do report it to a school, make sure that you say to them, please report this to the federal courts as well, as they can have, a case in both type of courts. But if you do report it to the federal courts, then make sure that the school courts also take into consideration. Don't wait on the ruling from the federal court to make sure that they're ruling from the get-go as well. So, what are some ways that we can solve this? According to Journalist Resource articles from July 13, 2014, only 125 colleges and universities have a rape case type system implied in their school themselves. So what can we do to help make this better? Colleges need to designate employees to serve as Title IX conditioners. So they need to hire faculty and counselors that know how to train and know what to do when things are reported and how to help them accordingly get the right ruling. So there's a couple ways that you should follow. In the policies that you should follow, there's 3 simple guidelines. First, they need to file a criminal complaint, which means that when there's a criminal complaint, that means that they need to file them as a criminal. Then second, they need to not dissuade either way. So if they go to the federal, they can't say this is not good enough, go to the school. If you're at the school, this is too much for us, go to the federal. They need to just put in the system right away and start both the cases at the same time. So once it's reported, start ruling on it from the get-go. So to conclude, utilization of Title IX along with analyzing the problems, causes, and solutions regarding reporting sexual victimization causes among colleges, campuses, and the federal agencies, that they need to make sure that it is ruled accordingly. So to conclude, college is an atmosphere that it needs to be fun as well as safe. Just remember that there are people out there that actually care about you and want to help you at all times. So do not be afraid to report at any time. Sexual victimization needs to be stopped. Reporting not only helps you, but it could potentially help somebody else down the line.
What can it